And today, well, we're exploring Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince.
A classic. Looks like a children's book on the surface, right?
Absolutely. But that's the magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's deceptively simple. It uses this symbolic language to talk about really big themes.
Like friendship, love, loss,
Yeah.
what actually matters in life.
Exactly. It's not just for kids. It hits deep, you know?
So the story follows the little prince leaving his tiny planet, asteroid B612, I think.
That's the one. And he travels around meeting all these, well, quite strange characters on different asteroids.
Before eventually landing on Earth.
Right.
And that's where he meets the narrator, the pilot who's crashed in the Sahara Desert.
Mm-hmm. And it's through these encounters, you know, with the special rose back home, this wise fox he meets, a lonely king, a businessman counting stars.
Yeah, all these figures, they make us think, don't they? They challenge our grown-up perspectives.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To try and maybe learn to see the world a bit more like the little prince does.
With the heart, not just the eyes.
Precisely. So we'll follow his journey, and we'll pause sometimes to look at some keywords, some vocabulary, and what they really signify in the story.
Okay, sounds good. Let's dive in. Maybe start with that core question. What's actually important?
Yeah, there's that great exchange. The little prince is talking to the pilot about roses.
Oh, right. He says something like...
He says, people where you live grow thousands of roses in one garden. Yet they don't find what they're looking for. And yet what they're looking for could be found in a single rose.
Wow. And the pilot kind of gets it, right? He reflects.
Yeah, he thinks maybe we forget to see what matters. We search for big things and miss the little ones with true meaning.
It's such a powerful contrast. Quantity versus what? True value, connection.
Exactly. It makes you think about our own lives, you know? Always chasing more likes, more money, more stuff.
And maybe missing the simple things, like just, I don't know, talking properly with a friend or really being present when playing with your kids or siblings.
That's it. The book gently suggests that maybe happiness isn't found in having more, but in the quality of our connection to one thing or one person.
Like that single rose, it's the investment, the care that makes it meaningful.
Absolutely. It's about the depth, not the breadth sometimes.
Okay, so this brings us to maybe our first vocabulary focus.
Good idea. Let's start with meaning. In the book, it's all about the importance or purpose behind things.
So the little prince is essentially searching for meaning on his journey.
Precisely. Then there's essential. Very important, necessary, like that famous line.
What is essential is invisible to the eye.
That's the one. It's about inner worth, not just what things look like.
And the last one for this section.
Let's go with perspective. Basically, how someone sees or understands the world.
And the whole book offers a different perspective, right? A child's perspective almost.
Exactly. Challenging the grown-up way of seeing things.
Which actually leads us nicely into the next part, doesn't it? The little prince's views on grown-ups.
Oh, yes. He doesn't hold back much, does he?
Not really. He says, grown-ups never understand anything by themselves. It is tiresome for children to be always and forever explaining things to them.
Yeah. And the pilot sort of agrees, reflecting on his own experiences. He says adults care about numbers, you know, serious things.
But sometimes kids just get it. They understand the world better on some level.
That's the suggestion. He highlights this difference, doesn't it? Imagination versus pure practicality.
It really does. I remember looking at clouds as a kid and seeing animals or faces.
Totally. And now we just see, well, cumulus or cirrus and think about whether we need an umbrella.
Yeah, the wonder kind of fades sometimes.
And the book seems to say that's a loss. Not that practicality is bad, but that losing imagination entirely, well, that limits us.
Limits our ability to dream, maybe, to create.
I think so. That spark is important. Which, again, brings us to some vocabulary.
Okay. Let's talk about grown-up.
Right. In the story, it's often used, well, bit critically. It means an adult, but often one who's lost touch with what's essential.
Like the ones obsessed with numbers or ownership, not actual connection.
Exactly. Then imagination. Pretty straightforward. The ability to create ideas or pictures in your mind.
Which the book celebrates as a key way to understand the world deeply.
And finally, wonder. That feeling of amazement, of curiosity about the world.
Something a little prince has in spades, and maybe something we could all use a bit more of.
Definitely. It encourages us to keep that sense of wonder alive.
Okay, so moving on in his journey. Let's talk about the rose. His relationship with the rose back on his planet is so central.
It really is. It's where we get into love, but also, importantly, responsibility.
He says something lovely about her, doesn't he? Comparing her to all the roses on earth.
Yes, he says, my rose is not like others. I watered her, I sheltered her, I listened to her. She is my rose.
That possessive might isn't about ownership, though, is it? It's about connection.
Exactly. It's about the bond created through his actions, his care.
Yeah.
And then the fox adds that crucial lesson.
You become responsible forever for what you have tamed.
That's the heart of it. The investment creates uniqueness, and uniqueness creates responsibility.
It makes me think of, say, a pet, like my cat. To anyone else, she's just a cat.
Right. But to you, because of the shared time, the feeding, the playing, the worrying when she's sick,
Yeah.
she's your cat. Irreplaceable.
Yeah. The rose is a beautiful symbol for that deep personal value we create through care.
And it applies just as much to human relationships,
Yeah.
right? Friendships, family, partners.
Absolutely. They grow strong because of the time, the effort, the listening, the sheltering, metaphorically speaking.
The taming process, as the fox calls it, which leads us to our last vocabulary set.
Okay. First, the rose itself.
Yeah, more than just a flower. It symbolizes love, maybe vanity too, but ultimately the focus of the prince's responsibility and affection.
Then tame. What does that really mean here?
It means creating ties, building a relationship through patience and interaction, making something or someone unique to you.
And you unique to them.
Exactly. It's mutual. And that leads directly to responsibility.
The duty you have towards the one you've tamed, the one you formed that bond with.
Yes. Understanding that is a huge step for the little prince. It's central to his understanding of love.
So if we try to sort of wrap this up, bring together the main threads from this deep dive, what are we left with?
Well, I think several key messages stand out. First, the profound importance of love, but defined as, something built through active care and responsibility.
And not just a passive feeling.
Right. Second, the power and value of imagination, holding on to that childlike ability to see beyond the surface, to find wonder.
And third, maybe the most famous takeaway is seeing with the heart.
Yeah, understanding true value, connection, empathy, things that aren't always visible or quantifiable, looking past the superficial.
It really boils down to realizing that the most meaningful things often require that emotional investment, doesn't it? They're found in the little things we nurture.
Absolutely. It's a challenge to how we often prioritize things in the modern world. Where do we put our attention, our care?
That's a great point. Which leads us to a challenge for you, listening in.
Okay.
Think about something important to you, something that maybe others wouldn't immediately understand why it's so special. A bit like the little prince's rose. Can you describe it?
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, share your thoughts on that in the comments. We'd love to hear them.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Little Prince. Hopefully it sparked some thoughts.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Until next time, keep thinking about those invisible connections, those unique perspectives.
Because what truly matters is so often felt, not just seen.